Right, so what's the date today? 5th November, Gay Fox Day. So I thought I'd ask a bit about your relationship with work. I know you're a very hard worker. Um, so when you were little, is there anything you wanted to be when you grew up?
Not that I can recall, but I mean, probably those little boys be an engine driver or something, or fly an aeroplane or something like that.
That's something exciting.
No, I didn't have any kind of, that I can recall, any kind of big burning desire to follow a particular career path or something.
Okay. So what was your first job?
Well, I used to have holiday jobs, during the summer holidays.
Oh yeah.
And they were mainly working on a farm, looking after the cattle and things like that.
Okay.
Helping out
Animal
with
farm.
the harvesting. But then the first full-time job that I had was with a pharmaceutical company that was in just outside of Long Melford, called Stafford Allen,
Hmm.
and they used to do lots of extraction of various drugs, I suppose, from the plants, and they had all kind of boilers and different bits of equipment for brewing up these things.
Oh.
They used to extract licorice and poppy seeds, all stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
And we used to make a very popular cough medicine called Hill's Bronchial Balsam, and that was a very powerful cough mixture, and it was one of our main sellers.
Oh, right. I wonder what became of Stafford Allen then.
They got taken over by a company. They became Bush Boken Allen. What happened to them after that, I haven't a clue.
Okay. And they specialised in natural products.
Yeah.
And how old were you when you started working with
Well,
them?
the other thing that they used to extract a lot was chlorophyll.
Oh, from plants?
Yeah.
Right, oh, okay. And how old were you when you started working with them?
16.
Oh, really? So that was you left school at 16?
No, I left school, 16, yeah. Which was, I think, a year later than normal. Because up until then I'd been to Sudbury Grammar School, and I was a bit ahead of the pupils in the local secondary modern.
Mm.
So that's why I got held back a year for the others to catch up.
Oh, right. Oh, I see. So you're a bit younger than everyone else?
Yeah.
Ah. Oh, okay. And what did you, like, were there A-levels back then?
I didn't do A levels, I did a higher national certificate, HNC,
Oh, I see.
which was after my O levels. Yeah, I'm sure I didn't do any A levels. I did the HNC in chemistry and physics, maths,
Right.
and I was doing that, both while I was working and also going out to college,
Oh, I see.
mainly over at Bury St Edmunds. I'd go over there taking the higher exams.
And how did you used to get there then?
Motorbike,
Oh, what, from Cavendish?
yeah.
Oh, I see. Wow, it's dedication. Yeah, didn't you have like an old Norton or something like that?
I had an Ariel.
An Ariel. Mm.
That was my first motorbike. And then I got rid of that and got a Matchless, which was a more powerful motorbike. And really kept all my travelling on a motorbike until I got a car.
I see.
My first car, which was a Vauxhall Velox.
Did you ever have an accident on the motorbike?
Well, I did. A couple of minor things, I suppose. One of them was just coming off on an icy road, skidding along, but no real injury. But the other one that could have been really, really nasty happened in Cavendish. Do you remember as you came away from Cavendish, there was a little brook that the road went over?
Vaguely.
On the little grocery store on the corner. And just round that corner, the local baker parked his van while he was distributing loaves
Right.
to the people nearby. And I came round the corner to come face to face with this bloody van.
Oh.
And I swerved, and if I'd have hit it head on, I could have well been a goner. But my right handlebar hit the side of the van.
Ooh.
And the van was in sections which were kind of riveted in between. And as I went past it, my right hand grip, I could hear it go click, 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 click along the side. Along the side of the van. And the only injury that I actually sustained was my right foot. That kind of got caught under the rear mudguard of the van and took a bit of a chunk out of my foot. The scar's still there today.
Oh, well. Well, okay. That's a close call then. Yeah. I remember, I'm pretty sure you said in the past that the drink driving rules weren't what they are now. And it was kind of common for like people to like, you know, drive home after they'd had a few.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
Hang your head out the window and keep you falling asleep.
Yeah. Very true.
So how long were you at the pharmaceutical company for then?
Well, I left there when I was 21, so I've been there about 5 years or so.
Oh, okay.
Left there at 21 and then went to work at CAV.
Oh, I see. And how did the CAV offer come about?
It was just advertised locally. They were moving a lot of their work from London, where they had their headquarters, to Sudbury, where they built a factory down there, and they were expanding that Sudbury factory quite a lot, and they wanted somebody to run the laboratory there.
Oh.
And it was advertised, and I applied for that and got the job in the laboratory at CAV.
Right. Oh, okay.
I used to get involved in checking the strengths of various coolants that they did on the machinery, things like that. So it was quite interesting. Yeah, CAV, I was my own boss really. Just as he used to let me get on with it. You know, providing all the chemicals and that were up to scratch and up to strength. No one else seemed to be much bothered about the laboratory.
Oh, okay. So I suppose, that must have been something, if you were doing like chemistry in your HNC, that must have been something you were quite interested in anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. And what was your social life like while you were, like, what did you do outside of work when you were working at Stafford Allen?
Chase after the girls. No, the usual thing of people in their early 20s probably be going off out of dancing on a Friday night, that kind of thing. I can't think of anything outstanding that I used to do.
Hmm. Do you have any holidays abroad or anything during that period?
I'm just trying to think. My first holiday abroad is myself and three or four mates went on our motorbikes and a mixture of motorbikes and cars down to the south of France, which was quite exciting.
Nice.
And we stopped at places like Lorette de Mar, which was very, very popular for holidaymakers. Lorette de Mar, what was another one? And of course, all these places used to have nightclubs and everything. We used to spend the evening in the nightclub, during the day on the beach.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's like a good holiday. And you were living in Cavendish that whole time, were you?
Well, I was living at Cavendish until I got rented a place of my own. I'm just trying to think when that was. Hi, Karen.
You alright?
Fine, thanks, and you? Yeah, I bought. No, we rented a place in Sudbury,
Ah.
Church Street, in Sudbury. With 2 or 3 pals. But a little after that, I spent a bit of time over Colchester, rented a place in Colchester. But we were getting to the stage, I suppose, then when a lot of my friends were getting married,
Right.
buying their own, houses rather than paying rent on them. And I did something similar. I've been looking around, travelling around the area, looking maybe for suitable places to buy somewhere. And then one day I was driving through Levenheath and I went past this little old lane and I looked down there and there was a car down there. And I thought, I wonder what this place is. There's a piece of ground down there and it had a for sale notice on it. And so I got out of my car and walked down and there was an old garage, like made out of sheets of corrugated iron. And there was a lady down there. And I walked down and started talking to her and I said, I understand this place is up for sale, is it? She said, yes it is, and she said it's got planning permission for one building. So I said, oh yeah, and so who does it belong to? She said, it belongs to me, she said. And I said, is it up for sale? Yeah. So I got the name of her solicitor, went over to Sudbury and went through this house purchase, or the land purchase. So I bought this piece of land in Levenheath down Honey Lane.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how old would I have been then? I suppose kind of late 20s, I would think. Started to have this house built with a friend of mine who was an architect, drew up some plans, and he also arranged the subcontract labour, and we started building this bungalow. Just trying to remember the name. There was a Scotsman nearby. And their house was called Ibrox.
Oh, so Mr. and Mrs. Miller.
That's right, Mr. and Mrs. Miller, they moved in as well.
Yeah.
But originally it was this guy, Ibrox, a Scotsman. I forget what his name was. Then Lillian and Phil Miller moved into there. And then after we'd been there for a few years, I suppose. I'm just trying to. Well, yeah, we built that place and we called it DJ.
That's yeah.
Have I told you all this before?
No, I remember one of the houses you built was called DJ. Was that where Barbara and David Rowe lived? Or was that
Yeah.
different?
No.
What was DJ then?
Well, the DJ, as far as I can remember, was for Doug and June.
Oh.
And June was a girl I'd met when I was working up in Liverpool for a short while.
Oh, with COV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think when the Millers came there. No, I think there was another couple had it, and then they sold it to the Millers, I think. I'm just trying to think of what their name was.
So which building was DJ down Honey Lane then? Is that the Pippins, the Maltings?
No, that would be the second one down there. Because this lady who sold me the piece of ground, she kept a little bit for herself, and she had another little garage built down there. And then, what happened after that? After, oh no, what's their name before them? Bill and I can't think of their name. Anyway, they bought, these other people, I think bought Ibrox from the Millers. And so they were living next door to us then. But there was a good gap in between our house and their house. And that's when we had the idea of having the tennis court and swimming pool built.
Oh.
That was in the gap between DJ.
The tennis court and swimming pool?
Yeah.
I mean, they were things that came at the Pippins a lot later on though, weren't they? The tennis court and swimming pool.
Yeah, but that's what we made the decision that that's what we were going to do.
Well, that's a lot later when you had the family and everything, wasn't it? Because I remember the swimming pool and tennis court being built. My understanding of it was that you built the Maltings where David and Barbara Rowe were, and while you were building that, you were also building, while you were living there, you also built the Pippins, where the family grew up.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Right, okay. I see. Alright. And yeah, so what were your colleagues like and your boss like at work at CAV? And how did you get, because you were if you're working in the laboratory, because I
Yeah.
know you moved over, you must have moved over to the production line at some point,
That's,
didn't you?
that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, I was spotted by the general manager of Bushboken Allen, or Stafford Allen was it then? I was spotted by him as a bit of a go-getter,
Oh, okay.
and when the job came up in the laboratory, they passed me over for that and put me onto the management side, and I became a departmental foreman and looking after several different departments.
Ooh.
I was on making injectors and diesel nozzles. Hello.
Oh, we got a visitor. I just wanted to check where you were, Doug. It's okay.
I see you.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was moved out to the laboratory onto the kind of manufacturing side,
Right.
and I moved around several different departments. Did quite well at all of them, and eventually I got promoted to from a foreman to a superintendent, and then I was in superintendent for a number of years, and then they were going to do a further expansion at the Sudbury plant, and I was promoted to what they called an operations manager,
Right.
and that was the job that I held really up until when I retired from the company.
Yeah.
So I retired from them in when I was 60.
Right.
So I'd done about 40 years with CAV and then Lucas.
That's right.
So I'd done about 40 years, so I was kind of in line for quite a reasonable pension.
Right. Yeah.
Pardon me.
Yeah. No, good for you.
So it all worked out quite well.
Yeah.
And I was one of those rare people who really had a job for life.
That's right. That's just what I was thinking.
From when I started with CAV, and then when I finished with Lucas. Because Lucas had their headquarters up in Acton in London.
Right.
But now, I mean to go up there one of these days. A lot of the factory and buildings that were associated with it have all been demolished.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, because diesel kind of went out of favour.
Yeah.
And we had a lovely social club up there. And I was told that was the first building to be demolished. Whether the main factory, the Lucas factory, whether that's been demolished or not, I don't know. That's one of these days I should have, while I still had a car and everything, I should have driven off round there. It was only a couple of 100 yards off the main road. I should have gone down there just to have a quick look-see.
Yeah, I remember it myself. Because I think there was occasions like me. I went up there a few times.
Yeah.
Because they had I guess they had the old family occasion at the social club.
Yeah.
I remember Mum taking me and Sam up there a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, for this and that. And I remember the security people at the gatehouse.
Yeah, you remember all that, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but since then, I don't know what's happened to Lucas. I don't know if they still operate under that name, but they were bought out by an American company.
Yeah.
And I think it changed hands again with another American company. So there's been lots of moving around. So every time they change company, it changed who paid my pension.
Oh, right.
And of course, there's always a bit of a worry back in your mind, especially with your pension being tied up with a company that's 4,000 miles away
Yeah.
in America. And then they're coming more recently, in the last few years really, there was a lot of jiggery-pokery going on with the Lucas pension scheme, etc. And eventually it got taken over by an insurance company.
Oh.
And I'm just trying to remember which one it was. Oh dear, one of the big insurance, General.
I'll see, how did the opportunity to go to Korea come up in 1970? I think we went in 1978, 79?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, again, they were going to expand the. They wanted to build a factory out in Korea,
Right.
and they did a deal with a local industrialist to go into a joint venture. And this industrialist, the Korean industrialist, he made his name making typewriters
Oh.
and things like that. Typewriters, sewing machines. But then he branched out and came to this joint venture with the Lucas people.
Mm.
I can't remember if they were still called Lucas then.
And they were looking for a management team or something.
Yeah.
Right.
They wanted a 3-man team to go out there and work alongside the Korean engineers in getting the place established.
Right.
There was someone on manufacturing, which was me, someone on quality, which is a guy named Laurie Dinney, and then another guy on general engineering, and he was Tom somebody.
Okay.
And we went there as a kind of 3-man team to help them get established.
Right.
So, you know, the company flew us out there,
Yeah. And obviously
provided accommodation and everything for us, a 3-bedroom apartment.
in Busan.
In what?
Where is it? What was the name of the city?
Masan.
Masan. Right.
Yeah. So we stayed there for about 18 months, 15 months, I think.
Right.
I remained as part of that team, and then gradually the Korean people obviously wanted to take it over completely themselves. They didn't want to keep having to pay salaries.
No.
So that's when we left at that stage, came back to the UK. Of course I didn't have a job then.
Oh.
At that stage, came back. They were looking for something that I could do,
I see.
and the opportunity came up to go on the management side, production management, on the night shift.
Oh, right. So that's how that started.
So I went on to nights, and I was on and off nights for quite a number of years.
Yeah, I remember.
And I retired from that position. I retired when I was on night shift. Got a nice redundancy pay, guarantee of my pension. Yeah, what was the name of that company? One of the big insurance companies.
Legal in General.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Right.
Legal in General. And they pay my salary up until this day.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully there shouldn't be any chance of them going bust.
I wouldn't have thought so. I think you're right.
Yeah. So that's basically where we are today.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, I remember bits of Korea, the apartments where we lived, the typhoons that were there,
Oh yeah.
and the social life on the and going to school on the American Army base.
That's right.
And I think Sam was homeschooled over there, wasn't he?
That's right.
So Sam would have been about maybe 5, and I was about a year older.
You were 6.
Yeah, we had we met a few people.
Because you qualified to go into the American school.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember.
Which was run by the local pastor, I think, the vicar.
Oh right.
I think used to run the school quite a lot.
Yeah, I have some vague recollections of it.
Yeah, and as you say, you used to travel down to the school on the American base. I'm just trying to think what the name of that was.
Yeah, because the Americans were over there because of their involvement in the Korean War, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's when they had established a presence
Yeah.
over there. Because Jinhae was the name of the little village and town that was made up the American Navy base.
Oh right.
And most of the American Navy was kind of parked up there.
Oh, I see.
Jinhae.
Yeah.
And we used to go down there, you know, for a lot of our social life.
Yeah, I mean, because you played racquetball there, didn't you?
I played
You started playing
I
racquetball.
had a little trophy at one time.
I remember it, yeah.
Yeah.
And then me and Sam were both doing taekwondo for a while, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember getting gradings there. I think they had some swimming pools. I've got some like, vague recollection of like big, like hog roast or something like that, maybe at the army base.
Yeah. Tennis courts I had.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
And typical American, you know, that everything had to be just so, and anything they wanted they used to get.
Yeah.
I suppose they used to have regular barbecues and things like that. We could go to, they had 3 restaurants on the Jinhae base. There was the Officers Club, the Petty Officers Club, and the Enlisted Men's Club.
Oh, I see.
And we were told that we could choose one of them to go to, but once we'd done that, we stick to that club.
Oh, I see.
They didn't want us moving backwards and forwards from one to the other.
Right. Oh, okay. Interesting. So how come we were allowed on there anyway? Because I mean, we're a British family, and I imagine it was for.
It was, you know, the kind of goodwill of the commanding officer down there.
Oh, I see.
You know, he quite encouraged for expats to spend time on the base.
Oh.
And he gave us, you know, the necessary paperwork that we needed to go on there. So, but if it hadn't have been for him, we would have just been stuck on there with very little to do.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah. So I think you had to work 6 days over the week, 6 days a week there, didn't you?
Well, that was the general working of the Korean workforce, really.
Yeah.
So we had to go along with what they were doing.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the pictures because I was going through the boxes we took out of Eastbourne, and there's an awful lot of letters and a couple of cassettes as well that were went back and forth between family in Korea and you know mum, dad,
Cavendish.
Cavendish, Ellen and Mel. Yeah. So got an idea of all of that. Yeah, and I was reading a bit about the adoption of Kimberly as well. And I read one, and there seems to be like a lot of hoops that you had to jump through for that. And it seems like I read one letter, and it seemed like she was basically taking what we now know is called Ritalin for I think they called it hyperkinesia or like ADHD.
So when did this all come up? So once we came back to the UK?
Well, no, I mean, because I had no idea, and I just kind of I read it. I read it in a letter because I think like Mum was kind of like talking about it, and But I guess you're spending some time at the orphanage for a while, weren't you?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I suppose there was, seeing these orphan children and going round the orphanage, with usually with the American ladies
Mm.
coming down there. And then I suppose you get to this stage where Mum was very struck with Kimberly in particular. Oh, isn't she lovely?
Right.
This kind of thing. And then we heard one or two other people who had adopted Korean children. Mum said she'd like to do the same.
Right.
So we went through all the rigmarole, contact with the British Embassy and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It'll be okay, and then eventually got it all sorted out and came back to the UK with Kimberly along with us. But she wasn't a particularly well behaved little girl.
No. Yeah.
And again, she from what we know, she couldn't talk.
Right. She obviously had like quite a traumatic past.
Yeah.
And yeah, by the sounds of it, like, had this like ADHD. It's like call it attention deficit hyperactivity disorder now. It's like behavioural disorder, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
So it got to the stage where it was really wearing Mum out. She couldn't handle the situation with Kimberly and not talking, being rather naughty.
Right.
May have still been wet in the bed or something at that stage, I don't know. And so we started making inquiries about would we be able to return her to the UK. And again, with lots of paperwork and stuff, I think we got the okay to bring her back to the UK with us when we travelled back. But after a while there, Mum wanted to go and contact the local social services.
Right.
To see if we could get her adopted by somebody else rather than us.
Yeah.
And what we call a rather nice couple who lived near Bury St Edmunds. I think they were church-going people.
Right.
And they took on the responsibility of looking after Kimberly, and eventually they adopted her.
Right, I see.
But from that time on, we didn't have any contact with Kimberly at all.
Yeah, I vaguely remember like dropping her off. It's just a real hazy memory, and I also remember that it was kind of decided. It was in her best interests if it's kind of a clean break.
Yeah.
So that chapter of our life closed, and a new chapter for her begun, I suppose.
Yeah, so what she's up to now, I have no idea.
No.
But her age, she was a similar age to your Sam, I would think.
Yeah, but it was kind of unknown, wasn't it?
Yeah, so she's probably in her 40s now, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I remember coming back from Korea. I think we were living in a B&B for Sudbury for a little while. Because I think someone else was like renting out the Pippins or something.
Yeah.
So I remember staying, I think the Swan Hotel in Sudbury.
Yeah.
Staying there for a little while, and then obviously moving back into the Pippins. And yeah, me and Sam went to the boys' high school. And then I went to the grammar, and Sam went off to the Philipment when we were 11 years old. Yeah. Okay, well, we'll pause it there, shall we? And next time I'll come, we'll talk a bit about romance and marriage. So give you that to look forward to. Right. Okay.
Oh, now, what about this thing Sam wanted you to go over with me?